Welcome everybody to Eye of the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card reading. Today's pick a card reading is all about how people see you, their first impressions, and what they get right and what they get wrong. So we'll have a look at the archetype cards to give us a sense about that first impression that you give, which may be very, very accurate or might be a bit misleading. And then we'll look at what with tarot, what they get right, what they get wrong, and whether or not those things are working for you. Is it good that they get certain things right, or would it be good to be a little bit more obscure sometimes when you first come across people until they get to know you better? Is it good that they get things wrong sometimes? If you're going into a competition, if you wanted to sort of psych your competitive partner out, then maybe it's good if they see you as a bit scary, for instance, to start with, but it may not be that good in a personal relationship and so forth. So it's really, how do you come across when you first meet people, what really resonates and is right about that and you can use, and what is wrong, and within that category, is there anything that you could do to shift things if you would want them to be more accurate about you from the beginning? So it does depend upon the relationships you're talking about and the scenarios that you're in, but we'll try and get a sort of broad brush on all of that for you and Spirit's advice around it. So, as always, the important thing is to tune into the right reading for you, or readings if you feel drawn to more than one pile. To help with that, I have a heart chakra placement stone on pile 1, a throat chakra placement stone on pile 2, and a solar plexus chakra placement stone on pile 3. That doesn't mean that's what each of those readings is about. It just seemed to me that there are 3 chakras that are important to how we are perceived by others, our heart energy, the way we communicate, and who we are, like our self-empowerment. So that kind of energy, plus other chakras, no doubt, are spread across the readings. I just put them there in case you connect with those chakras in particular at this time, which might be Spirit guiding you to a particular reading or readings. There might be other ways that you choose. If you need to pause the video, by all means do that before deciding. When you know which reading or readings you want to go to, the timestamps are in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome pile 1 to your reading. So these are the 3 archetype cards that were under the chakra placement stone for you. This is to give that sense of like what's the first way that you come across to people, and then was going to investigate it a little bit more with tarot and other oracles. So you are definitely someone who comes across to people, someone with a great deal of power. You either have a lot of personal power, positional power, so you may be very high in an organization, high in a community group, politically high, very celebrated in some way, a real queen, and that is not necessarily a gender thing. It's just that sense of power, because every single one of these cards is a queen or a king. So, and what I really get from this is that there is part of you that is very clear to people. There is part that they probably get right, that is the core of who you are and the role that you have. But what they sense underneath with you, pile 1, is a whole lot of other power, a whole lot of other plans, and possibly even people behind you. It makes me feel like looking at sort of someone who's a politician, and people talk about the shadow government as well as the government, that kind of energy. It doesn't mean that you have to be in politics or anything like that, but I think that you are quite mysterious to people, a little bit frightening, not in the sense that they necessarily would run away from you, but I don't think that they would take meeting you lightly. I think you are someone who, for some reason, as I say, exudes a sense of personal power, exudes a sort of royalty sense, either literally, I guess, or more likely figuratively or allegorically. But they don't know how to read you. You don't show, you have an amazing poker face, to be frank. You don't show your views very quickly, and you don't, you're not open necessarily to people. Now, this may well be that it's because you are in some sort of a role where you have to do that, or it might be that you've come from a family or sort of upbringing where not being too much in people's faces is important. You might literally be someone who is the power behind the throne, actually, and that's the sort of shadowy element. But if that's the case, people see you as someone, they see that you are that power. You aren't as hidden as you might appear. And if this is sort of like in relationships, friendships and so forth, people just have a sense right from the time that they meet you that still waters run deep, and that there is a lot behind you, a lot of knowledge, a lot of power, a lot of control in some way. Some people may think that you're very controlling, actually, and it's not necessarily that you are. I think that it's just, it's kind of opaque, and they sense power. It exudes off you, and the sense that you are born to rule in a way, born to be in a position of power, born to be seen in some way, but that there's so much behind whatever it is that you show, including supporters potentially and other power figures around you. The other thing that they probably get is quite a good balance between male and female energies in you, with both the king and the queen there. So again, I'm not talking about gender, I'm talking about the sort of masculine and feminine energies on a sort of spiritual sort of continuum. You seem to be very balanced at that, maybe slightly more to the divine feminine with two queens and a king than the masculine, but really it's there, and it's like a power keg behind you. Like you are a force to be reckoned with, pole one. And that's what people think when they first meet you. You might think, well, no, I'm not, I'm really a pussycat. And maybe you are, but you don't exude that. You exude power, you exude authority, and it is both positional potentially and also innate to you. But as I say, you could also come across as the power behind the throne. So it's a very interesting set of cards. So let's ask the tarot, firstly, what's right about this? Like, so what do people have right about this energy around you, and about the first impression they have of this very powerful but enigmatic person? Okay, so the things that they definitely have right, pile one. Firstly, you are someone, if you haven't already been very successful in your career and materially, you will be. You could also come from some form of lineage or power family in some way. If there isn't already around you, there will be money around you. There will be a great deal of security. There are many people who will see you, they will look to that power within you as something that is stabilizing and secure for them, and they are right. If you are someone who lets this person into your inner circle, or even into your broader circle, whatever it is, you will be a secure point for them. You will be someone who can be relied upon. You're also someone who can grow and invest in things. So for some people, this energy is going to be that you are the investor, or as I say, the power behind the throne. For some people, they will sense that you are a benefactor, or someone who will give very wise financial or material advice, and they're right about that as well too. You understand how the power dynamics of the world operate. So you definitely can help others, and if they have a sense and they come to you for that, if you're in some sort of a career where you give advice, financial or organizational advice, you know what you're talking about, and their sense of you as someone who has a great deal of knowledge, wisdom and capacity in that area is absolutely right. They also will see you, and this is good given the shadow energy there, as someone that they could collaborate with, someone who could create great teams. You are a natural leader, actually. For all that you're enigmatic, I think when you first meet people, they might be a bit scared of you, but I think as they get to know you better, they will see that energy, the queen there, is the one that is in fact the most authentic of all these impressions, that you are truly a leader, you are truly someone who can bring people together, you are truly generous in what you do, and you are able to step out into the new and to take others with you on a journey. So what is right about this is regardless of whether or not their impression has come from like the clothes you wear and the way you speak, or what school or college or university you went to, or even where you are in your career, regardless of all of that, if all of that is somehow informing their sense that you are a person of significance and power, what they have right about this is that you really can bring through the goods. You are very good with other people, and you are very much able to do the new and to take things out into the world. So they are right about the fact that you are here to lead. There is no doubt about that. Given that, what are they possibly wrong about, pile one? Okay, there's a few things here that are interesting. Like, firstly, you don't You don't really, I mean, you are a natural leader and you may well end up in positions of power if you aren't already, but that's not what it's about to you. It's like that's almost an accident of what you do. You like to be successful, you like to have great teams around you, you like to do the new, and as a result of that, you end up in positions of power, authority, or influence. And you exude a sense of really knowing what you're doing and maybe having this sort of mysterious inner knowing or knowledge that other people don't have. But people think sometimes when they see this amount of energy, and it's really just them projecting to some degree, that you might be sort of a little bit vain or it might be all about you in some way. And that's wrong. If they think that, that's wrong, because it's interesting. You've got the Queen of Wands here and then you've got the Four of Wands. You are much more in reality about other people, teams, teamwork and so forth than you are about being a queen. It's almost like it's the reluctant head that carries the crown. You do it because there's something innate in you that you are best suited for that sort of role. But you're not vain and you're not someone who wants power just for power's sake. What they don't see, I think, is the heart. You know, they're getting it wrong that they think you're focused on just on power. But in fact, there is a lot of heart to what you do. And every time you look at something that's new that you want to bring into the world, there is a great deal of passion behind that and caring behind that. So that they're getting that wrong. They're not seeing it. They're seeing it as being more self-focused when it's actually focused on the new and on other people. They also think you are someone, and again, where this is wrong, that is more of a loner or a little bit, you know, panicky about who you are with. You have, it's your way or the highway is what I think those sort of two cards suggest together, is what they think. Like you are so strong that it's like, it's your way, you know, like there's not going to be sort of like a combined energy and direction, you know, and you will rule over someone if you aren't getting what you want. And that's not true, but they think that. They project a certain amount of fear about the power that you have on thinking that they won't get to follow their dreams as well. They also think that you're quite conventional, and you're not that either. So because of this power, because of a position that you might have, because of the success you already have, because of the family you come from, whatever it is, it's making you come across as a royal figure in a way. They think that you are then part of the establishment. And again, they're mistaking it. You are able to create security, but that does not make you stayed in any way. It does not make you conventional in any other way. You can't be, because you are all about the new with the Fool. You want to build things that are secure, but it's all about the new and the inventive, you know, and about heart. But they're not seeing that. They're not seeing that connection. They think you are part of the establishment, I guess. That's what they're getting wrong. You may have come from the establishment, you may have connections to the establishment, or just in your native skills you might get recognised by the establishment and put into positions of power and influence at some point in your life if you haven't already. But I think many of you probably have already started on this if you're not already there. But people think that means that you're all about the power, the money, the status, and you're part of the establishment, and that is wrong. So part of the thing I think here for you, Pile 1, is that this shadowy feeling they get and that amount of power, it's like, how do you connect to them in a way so that connect to people when you first meet them, if they're people that you do want in your inner circle or in your broader circle, so that they understand this is an area of collaboration and the new and the exciting, not about here's some more followers for my particular kingdom. I'm actually getting, for some of you, you may work in something like YouTube or be an influencer or something like that. Like there's that sort of sense around you. And again, it's like you're not after followers, you're after collaborators. But it might be important to think about if you've reached a particular level, if people think you're almost unapproachable and therefore one of the quote unquote successful, because there is something a little bit unapproachable about that, but that's not who you are. So let's have a look at what feelings people feel around you when they first meet you. A couple, firstly, for what they get right, like what feelings are right and that you can think about in terms of leveraging, and then secondly, feelings around what's wrong. Okay, so what's right? When people get you right, they feel like fun, energy, and all that sort of thing, and frisky even. Like, so you're probably incredibly attractive physically as well too. You're probably someone who draws in a lot of potential lovers or admirers as well. They see you as a queen. They see you as something aspirational. And if they get you right, there's a lot of fun around that, whether it's in a personal relationship of that nature or whether it's just a friendship or a work thing. And also a bit intoxicated. You are quite intoxicating. You are a bit of a charismatic sort of person. But they do feel once they get you right and they know they can be part of this rather than just a follower, they feel that they can release low vibrations. So when people get it right, they really get you. Okay, so what are the feelings around when they're maybe not getting it right? Okay, so you're not having a negative feeling impact on them either way. So for all that they may see you as part of the establishment, they kind of admire that in some way and they're curious about it. And that's positive, I think. Pile 1, because I think it means that people will stick around long enough, even if they have a bit of prejudice when they first start, to find out a little bit more about who you are. And then when they do, they're happy because they feel this is a contagious energy once they feel included. So I don't think that Spirit is saying there's anything inherently wrong in what you're doing. Over time, this almost sorts itself out, and the people who are meant to be with you will stay the course because of their curiosity. Anybody who gets you wrong and is more jealous of you or in awe of you but not able to sort of be there is probably not going to go through these emotions. They're probably going to step away. So I think that's good. That's fine. It's okay that people see you as this very dynamic person. So let's look at a couple of other things to close out the reading for you. Let's have a look at some affirmations from a deck that is about sort of affirmations from Spirit, about how to use this energy. And I really think it's fine. I actually think for you, people do misunderstand you, but I think it sorts through. So it's really about like staying the course and working out how to bring people more quickly into that energy of fun around you. So being aware. I have a friend who's been in some very senior roles, and she once said to me about how she was in a lift and she was just talking to some people in the organisation about something, and the next thing she knew, they came to her with this full-blown proposal. And from her perspective, she was just kind of like talking in the lift about something, but in actual fact, other people immediately jumped to doing something. So I think that might happen with you on one level or another, whether you have positional power or not. So I'm getting that really encouraging that and recognizing that is, and I think that's what my friend did, is a really positive way of dealing with that kind of charisma and personal presence and power that you exude. So Spirit, just give us a couple of affirmations around this for pile 1. Okay. So firstly, healing is remembering you've always been whole. That suggests to me that some of you have felt a bit isolated with this, or even if you have come from families where the power was there, maybe with that shadowy energy, you felt sort of you had to be part of a lineage or something like that, or even you don't even fully understand what the power is and you're a bit dismayed by it and you're worried about it because you're not the sort of person who wants to rule over people, but it seems to happen. So healing is remembering you've always been whole, understanding that that's part of who you are, and what people are picking up on is true. It's just that you need to work out how to make sure they understand what that really means as opposed to what it doesn't mean. It also says good things come to those who work their butt off. So I think it's saying own your success, because you are going to be successful if you aren't already, and I think many of you probably are, but if you aren't already, you are going to be, and that's okay. That is not you taking advantage of something or making it all about you, because you will always bring other people along for the journey and you're always about the new, but you are meant to be successful because you are prepared to put the work in. And if people see that and understand that, they appreciate that. So last but not least, I want to look at some astrology energy. So just 3 kind of energies to really focus on to make sure that people move into that getting you right and connecting with you, so that they can quite frankly benefit from your great energy and intelligence and capacity. So Spirit, just give us 3 astrological energies for pile 1 to focus on. Okay, we'll get to that one last because that's an aspect, so I will actually look at what planets we're talking about. But firstly, we have the 3rd quarter, which is all about out with the old and in with the new, basically. So there's something in all of this, I think, in this reading for you to contemplate about. Is there something about the way that you come across to others that's taking it into that misunderstanding that you can let go of, and a different approach. So it's a time for letting go of that, reflecting that, taking responsibility if people have misunderstood you in some way, so that you can bring that better outcome. It's the tarot card that's associated with it is judgment. So I think you'll make those decisions and understand that quite quickly. I think you're a naturally very quick thinker, and I think that you'll be able to work through that. We have Aquarius. Now, Aquarius is transpersonal. It's very future focused. It picks up the Fool energy before you are. One of the reasons that you are powerful, and you will be powerful throughout your life and successful throughout your life, is you're a bit ahead of the curve. You see things coming before they're there. You're very kind of tuned into the sort of galactic levels and that kind of thing. And you bring a lot of hope with you. With tarot card around the Aquarius is star. So you can really inspire people. And that, I think, is why even those who are getting you wrong are inspired by you. So that's not bad. It's just getting more people into what is right, because that brings more people with you. The celestial body around it is Uranus, so it's transformative. You're here to transform in some way. And I think this is partly transforming you as well too. I do think that many of you may have come from, as I say, families or connections which gave you positional or monetary power. It's not going to be everybody. So if that's not the case, it's not that this isn't a valid reading for you. But I think for many that come in there, it might be something like that. And this is you transforming and owning who you really are, because you are beyond that. Now, the square is a aspect of tension. So this is about what's the tension here to get you to people really understanding you correctly. So I'm just going to shuffle the deck, and I'm going to deal out until I get to planets or asteroids, just to see what that square energy is for you, pile one. We've got Mars, which makes sense. That's about power, energy, ambition, and so forth. And Jupiter. Wow, okay. There's the powerful person again. Like Jupiter, expansive, lucky, fortunate, building things, building really beneficent things, that Ten of Pentacles energy. And Mars, ambition. You couldn't not be a powerful person. If you are not there yet, part one, you are meant to be there, and people already see it in you, and you will be there. But I think for many of you, you probably are in one form or another, and this is probably just the beginning for most of you. The tarot card for Mars is the Tower. This is, again, this evolutionary feeling around you. You are here to shift perceptions of yourself and also other people and the way things are done and so forth. That's why you're not conventional. You're not that at all. You're not part of the establishment. You're here to really throw a spanner in the works. You could, in fact, be someone who goes into a position of power, like the force from within, the change from within with that. And it's very benefic because of Jupiter. That's connected to the Wheel of Fortune. So there's something destined around this for you, and it's about growth and so forth. And you're all about growth and bringing other people with you. So I think the key thing for you, pile one, is that people do see who you are, but they get it a little bit wrong because of that kind of, you're a little bit enigmatic, and they're not entirely sure about, what your intent is. If you can bring them along on the journey, they will move towards it. But the good news is, even those who sort of see you as a bit aloof and separate and powerful, they're still curious about you. There's still the opportunity for you to bring people along with you and to help them evolve as well too. You are not here to be part of the normal power structure. You are here to evolve the power structure. And people like you are very important in the world at the moment. So I do hope that this resonated for you, and I do hope that it's helpful in understanding people's first impressions and how to get the best out of that, both for yourself and for them. But if you aren't already a leader, you're going to be, and own that, because you're here to change the world, pile one. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And if you do see this for yourself in one or more aspects in your life, I would love to hear about it in the comments. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile two, to your reading. These three cards, these archetype cards, are meant to give a sense about what those first impressions are when people first come across you. And then we're going to use tarot to have a look at what's right and wrong about that, and some oracle cards to give you some more information to get the balance in the way that you would want it. You probably fascinate people when they first come across you. You're a very interesting group of energies that come across. Firstly, with the Knight, you're someone who I think people instinctively feel you're honourable, you will be involved in causes, you're someone who will fight for the underdog, you're very much, yeah, and potentially very romantic as well, if you're picking up the sort of like romantic thing, but I'm getting that Grail Knight feeling as well too, particularly with these two, very spiritual potentially as well too. But they certainly see you as someone who is on the side of right, is on the side of what is good and helpful to others, and would stand up for others. Like, and on that level, you probably scare people a little bit. People probably wouldn't want to take you on. They see you as someone who really does know who they are, very ethical, very strong. You're not the sort of person that somebody would try to corrupt, for instance. They just wouldn't even try. And part of this, I think, is you come across someone with a great deal of wisdom. There's a sense here with past life that you feel like you are centuries old, even though you may only be 18, for instance, or 25 or something. But there is a real sense of wisdom around you, and you come almost from an older time. Like the way that you may even dress and act and talk in a way that feels a little bit more from another time in some way, or even another place, like a star seed, because with the Aquarius energy, it's almost like you've got the two polar opposites here, because on one hand you've got history, drenched in history and in the old world and old mysteries and all that kind of thing, and then you've got the most future oriented side of things as well with Aquarius, so transpersonal, intergalactic, that kind of feeling as well too. So I think you really intrigue people, because I think they think there's something that maybe you are not telling people, and it has made you very ethical and very honourable and so forth. But it comes from a wisdom, and it comes from both a sort of depth of understanding and also an expanse of understanding. You could be someone who works in sort of science in some way, and if that's the case, it feels like kind of quantum physics, that kind of thing, or even like looking at the galaxies and astronomy and so forth, or astrology. There could be the sort of that kind of psychic thing as well too. But this feels more like the mysteries, and then using it in a way that has a cause. So I think people think that you know things they don't know. I think that they feel that you are not of your time. And it might be a little bit, it's almost like you're a walking mandala effect. It's like you aren't really, you're kind of here, but this isn't really necessarily your place or your time, but nevertheless you're here for a reason, and so they should pay attention to you. Now that puts quite a bit of responsibility on you, and you may not feel comfortable with that. You might be fine with it, but you come across like a mystery. You come across, like somebody who really knows stuff. So let's see, firstly, let's ask Tarot, what are people getting right about you when that's their first impression? What is correct about that? That one wanted to come out. Okay, so I think there's a few things they're getting correct. I think firstly, the sense of there's a cause, there's something you are very, and I don't think the Eight of Swords is operating as being trapped in this space. I think that, often Eight of Swords is where we trap ourselves mentally, but I think in this case, it's not feeling like that. It's feeling like you have a very, very finely tuned sense of what is right and wrong, of what is a good cause to follow, and you're very dedicated to it. And if that means you had to do self-sacrifice on some level, and there's a bit of a sense here where you would give up your own happiness if it was for the right cause, if it was for the right thing for other people more generally, they're absolutely right about that. You are someone who could be relied on in a battle. You are someone who brings so much honor around it. It's got to feel like a samurai as well as the knights of old. That they're right. You really are here more for others than for yourself. And you've come from other places, I think, both other places in history and also potentially other galactic sort of areas. They're right about that. That sense around you is absolutely right. What they're also right about is that you're here to bring in something new, to birth something new in the world. So, and that's the nice marriage of these two. It's like the wisdom from the past and then what the future is, and you bring those two things together and you get the energy of the Fool, which is stepping out and doing something completely new, but it's done with a grounding. It's done with understanding of the environment that you're in. So you're meant to bring a new approach in and to make it very useful in this 3D material world, even though some of your knowing comes from somewhere else. I have to be frank, pile two. Even if that is the case, you are nevertheless grounding it within the world. I mean, it's got to feel like what I literally just saw was the pyramids being built. So and that's partly probably because of the imagery there, but it's that kind of thing. It's like something galactic, something beyond in terms of technology, connecting very much with the earth. There's something like that about you. And you are very honourable, and you're kind of here for other people rather than yourself. So they're right about that. But what do they potentially get wrong about you? Okay, so partly they think you're just a dreamer. Some who see you think you're just a dreamer. I'm sort of thinking of, John Lennon's song Imagine, and the sort of the lyrics in that song. So sometimes they think that it's all very romantic and it's all very wonderful to think about, and it comes from a good heart, but it's a dream. Like what you want to bring in is a dream. It's not possible. That's because you're so far ahead in many ways, and also because you are coming from your heart and from honour, and there are many people who don't really get that in this material world. They also think because you're a little bit psychic, or well, probably more than a little bit psychic, but you've got that kind of connectedness to the ancient mysteries, and also to, as I say, the galactic thing. I think they worry about you, that you might expose things about them. I think that when you bring this energy and knowledge to people who are misunderstanding you, they feel like you're seeing them too clearly. They find that a bit scary, and they may think that you have standards and so forth that you expect everybody to follow, like you're very rigid. But you're not. You're rigid with yourself about honor, but you're not rigid about how these new things come into being. And it's not necessarily, you're not trying to start a new religion, though with your energy you probably could, but that's not what you are wanting to do. That's not who you are. You are not about that. You're not about setting a set of precepts in terms of belief and structure around people. You're about bringing in something new and so forth. But I do think that some people feel like they can't live up to your sense of ethics and honour, or that they will be found wanting, or that this is a cover for some form of control, that you're trying to kind of, start a cult, and you're not, but that's what they're getting wrong. And so they either think that you're too idealistic and it's not going to come into being, or they think you're manipulative and controlling. Neither of those things are right, but it comes from a fear of the depth of knowledge that you're bringing to something. So it's very interesting energy. So I want to have a look at the feelings that they have around you if they get you right, and then also the feelings if they're getting you wrong. So if they get you right, and then if they get you wrong. Okay, yeah, that kind of balances with this. When people understand you, when they see that you're here for a cause, that you're prepared to self-sacrifice if necessary, that you're very ethical, that you do bring a lot of heft to what you're saying, but that you want to co-create in something new with people, they're inspired, you're breathing life into new ideas for them, and they're tempted. They actually start to think, actually, I can be part of this journey. Like, that's what you want. You don't want people to put you on a pedestal and follow you. You want people to be with you on this journey. And when they get you, they're really tempted to be involved. They find this fascinating. When they don't, when they think you're either being too idealistic, or I think more manipulative and controlling, they can become codependent. They want you, well, that's fine then. They might think you can tell me how to do everything and I'll just follow you. And that's not what you want. So if they're getting you wrong, they can go into a codependent space. And if they feel like, oh, this is too controlling, they can go into a hateful space, and so forth, and kind of see you as epitomizing something about burdens on their heart or other people that have tried to control them. So I think it is important. I think Spirit is saying here that it's important wherever you can to get people to understand that you're not telling people how to live their life. You've made determinations for yourself, but that's your business. You're here to find with other people how to bring the new in a very material and useful way for all. So let's ask Spirit for some affirmations for you in how to do that, because that can be, I think, a bit tricky, because I think that the first impressions of you are that there's something really otherworldly about you, and potentially someone who, so it's not exactly an avatar, but that kind of feeling around it. But that's not who you are, and it's not what you're trying to be. But it, that can bring some very interesting reactions in people, hence why this line is so important. So what affirmation, Spirit, would you give pile 2 for this energy around them and the way that they come across to people? Okay, so firstly, you're safe wherever you go in life. I think anybody who has this sort of connection is protected by spirit guides, by source, whatever you believe in, whatever you connect to. So you are safe. You're not, this energy is probably more, if it happens, it's a bit sort of like either codependent or a bit spiteful. It's not sort of something that's going to stop what you're trying to do. But remember that we're all together in this sense, again, of bring people along with you, get them to understand that your rules are for you, not for them, but there's something that you can bring to the table, and so can they, and that really brings them more into understanding who you are and why you're here. I think many of you actually have a very good sense about why you're here, actually. So whether you're very good at past life regressions and you've got a sense of that, or whether you've literally had some guidance from sort of the galactic spheres, I think you really do know. So I think you can use that energy to help make sure people get you right. So I also want to look at 3 key areas astrologically for you to focus on to get people to more understand you properly and work with you rather than be a little bit scared and in awe of you. Okay, so firstly we have Cancer, which is the sign that is all about, it's emotional, it's a water sign, it's about protection. So that goes back to this night energy. You are innately protective of others. And I think it's getting that balance right of protecting people but still giving them the evolutionary opportunity to learn themselves, make their own mistakes and all that kind of thing. The celestial body around Cancer is the moon, so that fits with this sort of psychic energy that I feel around this. And the tarot card is the Chariot, so it is balancing that sort of emotional thing. I think there is actually quite a strong emotional response to you, full stop, because of this. It's interesting because in some ways you're about material honor and philosophical honor and wisdom, but the response to you from others is very emotional. So being aware of that and being protective, but not in a holding things too close, like giving people liberation. And I think Aries there helps with that, because Aries is more the sign of ambition and action and choice. The tarot card for it is the Emperor, so there is that sense of you having a leadership capacity. Mars energy around it is action and choice and so forth. And I think it's like be protective but get people to act and bring in the new with them. So the new moon is the seeding, you plant what you desire, the limitless possibilities, all of that sort of thing. So the more that you get them connected in action, you will be naturally protective, but that won't be the dominant thing, and you will have more collaborators, friends, lovers, whatever it might be, as opposed to people who are either codependent or suspicious of you and pushing back against you. So pile 2, I hope that resonates for you, and I hope that it's helpful. Looks like you're here with a very interesting mission, and I do wish you well for it, and that you find the right people to work with and the people who really understand you. I hope that this helps in some way. I hope that you enjoyed the reading, and if so, please like the video and subscribe. And if this does resonate, you know what it is. Love to hear about it in the comments. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome pile 3 to your reading. These are the archetype cards to give a sense about that initial first impression, and then we'll have a look with tarot and other cards about what they get right and what they get wrong. And oh my goodness, pile 3, you are the people who draw people in with your beauty, your charisma, your attractiveness in general. You are somebody that a lot of people have crushes on. You are somebody who, when they're seeing it really positively, it's a crush, and when they're a bit scared of you, they think you're a femme fatale, and it doesn't matter what gender you are. It's just that energy of like really being able to draw people to you. Interestingly enough, they also see you as very nurturing and caring. So I think there's more towards the crush and less towards the femme fatale, but there is a little bit of a sense of, where is that balance? I think people aren't really sure about, is there going to be a nurturing relationship as well as a passionate one around you? Are you able to share yourself in some way enough for people to be satisfied? But you are definitely someone who comes across as highly attractive. You're very likely to be physically very attractive in whatever form that is. And but even without that, even if you weren't classically beautiful in the sense of whatever your culture calls classically beautiful, there's just something arresting and really, really magnetic about you. And I think you get a lot of people with crushes on you. You get a lot of people who get a bit starstruck. Some of you may in fact be known in some way, celebrated in some way, so that you get a little bit of that as well too. You're sort of the pin-up for people and so forth. But you do also come across as caring. So you're not coming across as being a sort of Casanova or something like that. You're coming across as someone people really do get quite smitten with, but they're also, it could go from smitten to obsessive. So you're definitely the group that first impressions are all around attractiveness, around love, around crushes, around dreams and so forth. But as I say, also a little bit around being caring as well. So it's an interesting combination. You're sort of like the person that someone, if they had a crush on, they'd be like, I want to marry this person or move in with them, and I want to care for them and they're to care for me, but gee, it'll be exciting to be with that person as well. You're kind of everything rolled up in one. You're the triple threat on that sort of level pole 3. So let's ask then, what do people in these first impressions get right about you? Let's ask tarot that. So interesting. I think part of what they get right about you is the caregiver side of things. And it's coming across in a sort of unusual and interesting way. It's coming across as a combination of Justice and the Queen of Swords. I think that is that you are very attractive to people, but you're also someone who is very balanced and someone who kind of lives in their head a bit, and they really are making decisions that are fair. So I think the femme fatale with the Queen of Swords potentially could be for some. They may, if they're not the right person for you and they're trying to push it, you may in fact push back, and then they may see you as a femme fatale, like someone who drew them in but it wasn't sort of real in some way. But I think in actual fact that's just about you being authentic. But I think for some there might be a little bit of that. For some they might experience it. But most of them I think see that it feels more like someone that they want to marry with Justice, somebody that they'd want to, or live with at least, whatever your beliefs are around that. Someone that they would want that kind of longer term thing, and someone who's a little bit self-sacrificial about what they want, like in terms of love. Like they're potentially, you come across as someone who'd be more loving than needing to be loved. And to some degree that's right. And to some degree it's right that you are somebody to be relied on. Like if somebody is drawn to you that way and you felt the same way back, you would be someone who wanted a committed relationship. You would be someone who was very loyal. You would be someone who would actually put the needs of others first sometimes, and so forth. So they're right about that. And for some, as I say, and I think this is only when it's the wrong person trying to get into your circle or into your heart, they may also come across a femme fatale. So you do have both sides, but your real core thing is this one in the middle. So given that, what do people get wrong? So they're right about the fact that you are a crush that could be for the long term and you're very caring of other people, but that you're also able to push away if needs be. But what do they get wrong about you? Okay, that's interesting. So firstly, one of the things they get wrong about you is that they sometimes confuse this caregiving energy with being like a mother or being a nurturing figure overall. And you're not just that. You're not here in relationship or to be anybody's mother. Like if you were in a relationship, if somebody had a crush on you, they would have to be someone who could meet you as an equal in both passion and also in caring, because you're not here to mother people. And some people may think that. They may feel like you come across as both incredibly attractive physically and so forth, and sort of in terms of your personality, but that you're also this caregiver, makes you everybody's mother. That's wrong. And if they want that, they're wrong. So some people that are drawn to you with this energy, part of their crush is that you make them feel like, this is the perfect home. You are loyal, but it needs to be to the right person, and you're not everybody's mother, and you're not here to look after everybody. You will, for the right person in the right relationship, give a lot emotionally, but you're not here to just look after people. So if people are wrongly focusing in on that and thinking you're there for everybody else, you're not, and nor should you be. But because they think that, I think sometimes they feel that you won't follow through. So it's if they've misunderstood this energy, pile 3, then they won't see you as someone loyal and who comes through. They'll see you as someone who abandons, and someone who, will be in conflict, the Queen of Swords energy coming up there. So the thing that's tricky for you, pile 3, is that your innate attractiveness to other people, a lot of people project what they want emotionally on you. When it's the right person, you will be the person that they're looking for, and it will be a long-term relationship, and it's one that's a meeting of equals. But a lot of people project, because you come across like a crush, they project what they want, and some of that is wanting caring and nurturing for themselves in an almost immature way. And when you don't provide that to them, then you're the femme fatale, and you're the person who'll leave them, and you're the Queen of Swords sort of energy. So they get that part of you wrong, because they want you to be all warmth and loving to them regardless of what it is to you, whereas you have a cooler head on your shoulders. You know that it needs to be reciprocal. But it is the tricky thing that comes with being very, very attractive to other people in both a physical way and also in a emotional way, because both of those are there. And so I think that I would suspect that all of my pile 3 have had to deal with that in one form or another, probably pretty much since you were sort of in high school, with the way that you draw people to you. So let's have a look at what feelings people have around you when they get it right, when they really understand you and they understand this energy, and then what feelings they have when they get it wrong. Wow, okay. You do have your work cut out for you. So I think what this is saying, and it makes sense in a way, pile 3, because this energy draws in so many people, and there's only going to be probably a small handful of people in your life who you maybe want to have as partners romantically and in your life, and there may be only one that you want as a long-term partner. So even when people get right what you're about, they are often disappointed and angry because they're not necessarily the one, because it's the power of the attraction that you have. You just need to be aware, and that's, I think, when they go into, it's the femme fatale. So this is picking up that energy, and I think it's probably saying that's what's going on about you at the moment. It probably means that you don't have the right person in your life, or you just have found the right person and a lot of other people are disappointed. When they get you wrong, they're a bit frightened of you, and they feel a bit guilty because they want maybe too much. So one side of them knows in a way maybe they're wanting too much from you, but they're also a bit frightened that means that you wouldn't be there for them. So I think there's almost like two waves of people around you, apart from when it could be the right person, but I think you've either found the right person and other people are now jealous, or you haven't found the right person at the moment. So of the people who are drawn to you, who really understand you, possibly they aren't the one at the moment, and that energy is coming. And of those who get you wrong, then they're sort of not necessarily even probably pushing themselves forward in your orbit. They're just wishing from afar, so to speak. So yeah, on one level, we probably all would love to be, really beautiful and really attractive to others or whatever, but it does show the energy that can come when that's the way you come across to people, and when people are really drawn to that, it can complicate things a lot, just like being charismatic can complicate things a lot. So that's quite a bit to deal with. So let's ask Spirit for you for some affirmations around being seen by the right person, because this is what this is about. You want to draw the right person to you, and how to deal with the kind of disappointments and sort of anger or feeling left out from people who projected all this stuff on you. Pile 3. Okay, so firstly, you are infinite. You will always be loved. So if you aren't with someone at the moment, and I think that could be the case for many of you, the right person will come, and you are loved by the universe and all that sort of thing as well too. And there's another way too, where you always will be attracting people to you. I think really, even when you're old, you're going to find that that's happening. You're just one of those people. So you will always be loved. The issue is who you love in return, because you get to write your story any way you want. You know, you don't have to live into other people's dreams. You're not some sort of femme fatale who's been manipulating people and letting them down if you don't reciprocate what they feel. And if people try and make you feel that, then they're manipulating you and they're projecting on you. You get to write your story any way you want. So to finish off pile 3, I want to get some astrological energy, 3 astrological energies for you that will help you with this, because I do think you've got your work cut out for you around this, I have to say. I mean, I'm sure you're aware of this already, to be frank, but let's ask for Spirit's help around how to best balance and manage this sort of charisma and personal appeal that you have. Okay, so we've got 3 houses. So that tells us probably the areas in your life which are important to this. First is the 4th house. That is your home. It's where you are. It's your family. It's where you live, and it's your base personality in some way. I think it is saying that this charisma you have, it's part of you. It's not sort of something that you can somehow rub the shine off and then get rid of the complications of other people's responses to it. Own it. Write the story the way you want. Be true to yourself. The planet around the 4th house is the moon, so it does suggest that you probably are connected to the cycles of the moon. So watch how your emotions and how these sort of energies, there's something quite hyperbolic around this. So you may find in various cycles of the moon that people are more demanding of you than others. So it's just worth paying attention to that. But it is important to feel secure and private. You do not have to give away your life to other people. You do not have to be always available to other people. Know when to close the door, pull the blinds, and just have your own space. The 6th house is usually about day-to-day work and vocation and so forth. So you may find this sort of complication happens a lot at work, to be frank. You may draw a lot of people. There may be something about your work. As I say, some of you may literally be celebrities or something like that, and it goes with the territory. The planet that rules it is Mercury, so communication is always key to clarifying this stuff and being clear about who you are. The ruling sign is Virgo, so it's in the details. It's in communicating the details about your life, not just the bigger picture, that maybe you can bring some of this into balance. And it's a good sign that the 6th house is there, because it's also about well-being and health and so forth. So I think it's showing that, particularly with, you will always be loved, you're going to be protected through this. It's not like anything really awful is going to happen. It's just that you're going to have lots of complicated relationships around you. And that's why then the 3rd house, which is about communication, is also ruled by Mercury. So communication is very strong for you, is also here. It's how you communicate to the world. That's the key for you. Allowing yourself space to yourself and communicating who you are and what you need. And where some of this, some of you may in fact be caregivers in your job. That's another thing I'm getting here, that some of you may be caregivers, and so people start to rely on you and want more from you than is right, that is within your profession. Some of you may even be therapists or something like that, and you may have patients who project on you, those sorts of things. So again, communication and boundaries are really important. So people's first impressions of you is you're just really, really attractive, and potentially the answer to their emotional and romantic dreams, to be frank. And that's lovely on one level, but it's challenging on another. So hopefully this resonates for you and is helpful to you and gives some advice from Spirit to understand this dynamic better and work with it better. And if so, and you enjoyed the reading, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And if you do know what this is and you can see it in your life, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.